I'm live, but not only am I live.
I have a friend.
What's up?
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? So,
Oh, I was trying to nap away a headache, so I'm sorry if I'm like.
no, I totally get it. Look at me, having cozy sun. So, Ree is supposed to join us. I think she's probably super
I bet
tired,
she's
so
sleeping.
sleeping or like drinking some coffee. I don't know. And then Robo, he's got this thing called a family. I guess it's like kind of important to some
Oh,
people. So,
I've heard of those. Yeah.
yeah, apparently. What's up, next issue podcast? I am cozy. I love Sunday. Well, I hate Sunday because Sunday's the day before Monday, and I get Monday anxiety on Sunday. But I do love
Do you always
weekends.
feel like you're wasting your time on Sunday?
Yeah, like Sunday, I can't fully relax because it's like I feel like every second of the day is precious because
Yep.
as soon as the day ends, it's a week. It's week time, you know. So,
Dakota
not my
hates
favorite
napping
weekend day.
during Sunday because he's like, I'm wasting my Sunday. But like, no, that's exactly what Sundays are for. They're for napping.
I get exactly where he's coming from. That's what Saturdays are for. Saturday you can nap with reckless abandon. What's up, Danny? Sweet, Danny's here. Oh, Danny is next issue. Okay. Hey, what's up, Danny? Good to see you. Danny's a big winner.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big winner. We gave a bunch of stuff out yesterday, and I think Danny did pretty well. He got the Quantum and Woody DNA variant. I think that's what he won. I got to check my sticky notes.
He's a very pretty variant.
Yeah. Got some people filling into the chat. So why are we here? We're just going to... What was that? That was weird. So here's Dream Country. This is the book that we read. And G, you're reading the Big Mamma Jam. Oh no. What edition do you have? Let's see.
I don't know which one this one is.
Oh, that's nice. I like it. And then I have this one right here. I think this is older. I got this like at least 10 years ago, I think. I've had this for a while. But this was a very easy one to read, I think. Oh, what's up? What's up, Mike Beasley? Good to see you. Yeah, this one was just easy for me. Like, I mean, it's not that they're hard, but this one, I like how it was kind of broken up into very like easily digestible stories. Except the Shakespeare one, which for some reason was like slightly boring to me. But
I can't imagine why.
But overall, yeah, I liked it. What did you? Before we even get into like the details, what did you think about this volume?
I think this is maybe my. I don't want to say favorite, but yeah, I agree. Readable. I think it's the most readable.
Mm-hmm.
I zipped right through it, and then I thought I still had an issue left, but the last issue is not what I thought it was. At least if we have the same version.
The last issue of mine is the what's her name with the skin condition where she turns into.
At the end of mine, I don't know if it's gonna show there. I have just like the script.
Oh yeah, I have that too. I don't usually read these, but I should because it's cool to see like what.
I actually only read the notes.
Oh, really?
Like the written in notes.
I did not. So we should get into that. Like when we finish these stories, I kind of want to see what is actually there because that is interesting. Yeah, it's like there's like written notes on the script here, so you can sort of see like the creative process almost. So that's kind of cool. What's up, Robo? You're there. I wish you were here, but it's still good to have you there. So anyway, yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So the first story was called Calliope. Is it Calliope or Calliope?
I think it's Calliope, right?
Calliope. Okay, we'll go with Calliope. And it was illustrated
here to be a tiebreaker.
Yeah, we desperately need Ree here and Robo. But
I always need Ree here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's it's nice when we have the whole crew, but it'll still be we'll do our best. We'll do our absolute best. So Calliope, we've decided. Illustrated by Kelly Jones and Malcolm Jones III. I don't really know much about them, but I'm gonna they're related. Kind of like the Allreds, maybe. I do like those like husband wife kind of like teams, creative teams. That's kind of cool. Although you got to think like, how do you escape work? Like if you're working on something with your partner, and then you go home, it's like you don't get to leave the office. You're still like sitting at dinner. Like I don't really like how you inked that one page. You know what I mean?
They're just a really good team.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. So this is a dark fucking story. Holy shit! Trigger warning. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. There's a lot of triggering shit that happens here. You've been warned. So anyway, after his critically acclaimed first novel, writer Richard Maddock suffers from writer's block. He meets with another writer, Erasmus Fry, who's like kind of like this gnarled old curmudgeon who used to be a great writer. And he keeps asking if like this one book that he wrote is back in print or something. But he goes to this guy to procure Calliope, one of the muses from the Greek pantheon. Fry has kept her as his prisoner, and he's been raping her and using her as inspiration, all while promising to free her. And I guess the act of imprisoning and raping her gives whatever writer does that like the ability to write amazing stories. Instead of freeing her like he promised, he trades her to Maddock for a bezoar, which is a thing I had never heard of until this. But it's a giant, a bezoar. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they talk about. Okay, well, I mean, it's old.
Do you know what this? Did you know about this before reading it?
I know about it because of Harry Potter.
Okay, so
because
this is
one of the things that in the first movie, Snape uses to like humiliate Harry. He asks him like, "Where would you find a bezoar?" So it's the only reason I know this. Although it is like a thing. It's J.K. Rowling, so she ripped it off of, from somewhere else.
Yeah. A bezoar. Okay, that's interesting.
They can be usually they're like a rock. But
this is a
Neil
gross
Gaiman's
thing.
Like, no.
Yeah. He's like, let's go full nauseating and make it a giant ball of hair removed from a person's stomach.
I was eating while I read this one.
Yeah, gross. So Maddock keeps her prisoner basically the same way. Like he keeps this muse the same way, and also rapes her and enjoys tremendous levels of success. So Calliope, who's the name of the muse, she calls upon the three Graces, who we've met before, or Furies, for help. They suggest that she ask her past love Morpheus for help, but he's been likewise imprisoned. So she used to date Dream. She eventually does call Dream, despite the hard feelings between them. And this will apparently, just as an aside, this will be expounded on in a later volume. So Morpheus frees Calliope, and he punishes Maddock by giving him a never-ending stream of ideas, which drives him mad. Dream is the most creative punisher ever, by the way. So when Calliope remarks on the change in Morpheus, he responds that he empathizes with Calliope's plight because he also suffered the same. There is so much in this short story. I'm not even going to poison the well. I just want to hear what you think about it.
Like, it's a very powerful story, but it's in that there's a few things, pieces of art, movies, books, stuff that like fit into this box where like, that's nice. I appreciate what you did there, and I want to put it in that box, and I want to tuck it away, and I want to never think about it again.
Right.
And this is one of those things that like, oh, that was very interesting, but like, I don't want to ever think about it after like today.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. That's like Schindler's List for me. Like I watch Schindler's List and I'm like, wow, I'm glad that I connected with this horrible thing. It should be remembered. And yeah, I'm completely moved, and it's healthy emotionally for me to see this. Now let's let's not think about it again for 10 years. You know,
I'm just gonna put that over here, in that place I don't look very often.
right? Yeah, the dark place. So I saw a lot of important and also kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Where something like where you can like see something in the future. Not premin, not even foreshadowing, because I'm saying applying to the real world, like almost predictive symbolism here.
Prescient.
It was very prescient, yes. So what we have is a writer who basically is secretly a piece of shit, and he takes his ideas from the trauma and from causing trauma to a woman in his life, and he enjoys tremendous levels of success.
Mm-hmm.
And on the surface, like you see him at one of the parties that he's at, he's like talking about what a feminist he is, and it's a lie because oh shit, look,
Yeah,
hey,
I agree.
Hey, we were just talking about Joss Whedon.
We were just talking
wow.
about, yeah.
Oh wait, no. I mean, what was his name?
It's a lot. It's a lie. You know what I mean? He's living a double life.
I feel like this story is very true in Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's very true in Hollywood, but it also, I think it speaks to us in some ways, because it's like he is creating great work. You know what I mean? His work is receiving critical acclaim and it's doing very well. And where are we in this? We're the consumer audience. So we're the people that enjoy the great work, but there's something horrible behind it. And it's kind of this conundrum of, can you enjoy something that comes from something so terrible or not, you know? And I think it's kind of I don't know if maybe my mind did the rest and kind of added that extra layer, or if that's like in the story somewhere.
No,
but
I think that's where, especially now, it's going to lead your mind.
Yeah. I didn't go too like abstract with it. Like definitely what you said earlier, G, is like, I think this is a critique. This is an indictment of this sort of media, whether it's comic books or Hollywood in general. This kind of pervasive kind of atmosphere that we know has been going on. And yet, no matter how much we know, like, wow, this is crazy, Epstein, and we kind of have our minds blown, we never really turn away from the industry. And and so we're looking at this, and it's like, wow, the muse is like, wow, that's super horrible, but I have art to do. So, and everyone's like, yeah, we got to do that. I don't know. I think this is Neil Gaiman saying, wagging a finger and saying, fucked.
I think he's talking about Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, I think that Alfred Hitchcock was in his mind when he was constructing this story, because Alfred Hitchcock is Richard Maddock. He's this auteur that creates this transcendental work and process. It's not just something he does on his free time. Part of his creative process to hurt people, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Who was it? Who's the writer of Alice in Wonderland?
Are you going to ruin that for me?
Yeah.
Wait, Lewis Carroll?
Lewis Carroll, straight up pedophile. And then you watch, like what have, yeah. So considered ruined.
Although it is debatable whether he wrote that or not.
Okay, fair. You know what? Headcanon? He didn't even write that. But yeah, he was apparently he would write these great children's novels in order to get close to all these. But it was more, if it makes anyone feel better, either headcanon, he didn't write it, or it's a Michael Jackson situation, to where some people think that it was not, and he just had a love for children, and other people are like, nah, something else was going on there, and that's why he would write these things. But nobody turned away from it. It still blew up. It still was super popular. And we know in every medium, I mean, I'm repeating myself, but in every medium, whether you're a book author or a movie producer or a director or an actor, there's this like underlying filth that's going to happen. And we kind of just, yeah, well, that's the art.
I think something that makes this distinct from like Harvey Weinstein or even Michael Jackson is Harvey Weinstein and Michael Jackson, they were, in the business. They produced things. Michael Jackson music, Harvey Weinstein movies. And then on the side, when no one was looking, they did reprehensible, horrible things to people. And I think what kind of makes this, the reason I say Alfred Hitchcock and the reason why I think this is unique, not unique, but specific, is that really harm and the hurting is not just a side project, it's part of the work. It's like a meat grinder where you put in human suffering on one end and art comes out the other end. And that there's like this trope, there's this myth called the auteur, the myth of the auteur, and it's this idea that you have to excuse people like Alfred Hitchcock for putting their actors through hell because it's part of their creative process, and the end product is this beautiful piece of art that makes all the suffering that went into it worth it. And I feel like that is the specific, like, to put a point to the spear of what Neil Gaiman was aiming at for. I feel like that is the myth that he was trying to either destroy or critique with this piece. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer to it. I think you could have multiple layers to it. I don't think that answer is wrong. Yeah, that's good. I just think that it's part and parcel. You know what I mean? I think these things are so interwoven to the point where it's like these people. So we'll just do some speculation here. Some people talk about, like, you ever notice how geniuses are also like super insane, right? I mean, you even look at like how eccentric some of the world's geniuses are.
Like Van Gogh,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I don't know if he was eccentric so much as deeply depressed.
Right. He had some serious health issues.
Right.
But the thing is like when you start looking into like the pervasiveness of what it means to have a lot of star power, I go back to what I was saying, all the shit that happens is like, that is part of me, that is a part of my performance, my acting, you know what I mean? So where I think you're right, there is some people like, hey, what I do here has nothing to do with what happens over here. I'm just a bad person also. But I do think that there is some interconnectivity with this disgusting nature of that society.
I mean,
some parts of it.
If you just look at it on a personal level, like, I don't know, does one aspect of your life impact another? Like, do your religious beliefs impact, what you your dating preferences?
That's what I mean. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, like, and it does. Like, every part of you impacts every decision you make. So, like, if you're a shitty person, you're putting that shit into your art. And I think it's especially obvious with authors because just like read their body of work.
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft, it wasn't just his cat's name. Look at his work. He was wildly racist. J.K. Rowling isn't just transphobic on Twitter. Read her writing. Everything in Harry Potter is like sort of problematic.
Yeah. When it's pointed out, I did not see that first though.
I'm not gonna lie. As a fourth grader, I didn't really understand.
How dare you?
And all of it. But yeah, like
you were the worst fourth grader. You were canceled.
Right.
Hey, I gotta pick up on the phone. I'll be right back.
So not just as it relates to cruelty or harm, but do you think that here, let me.
That's not
as nice as it is to see Ree there. Hi, Ree. Oh, whoops, wrong thing. So we talk about these how your life impacts your art, and those two things are almost inextricable from each other. It's not always cruelty. Sometimes it's like Kurt Cobain, depression and drugs, while horrible for him, I think directly contributed to the importance of his work. And like Van Gogh, horribly depressed. Like it's not hard to make a huge list of artists that are broken, damaged, fucked up in some way, traumatized in some way, or, maybe just evil. But do you think between damage and beauty or creativity? Do you think?
No. I think stupid, untalented people are also damaged. But like, I think, I don't know, it just gets highlighted.
Well, it not only gets highlighted, it floats to the top. Jimi Hendrix, right. Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse.
Connection to intelligence and mental illness, specifically depression or schizophrenia. But like I don't think art specifically.
But just genius in general tends
I
to
think
latch
higher
on.
intelligence tends to be linked to, because yeah, like there's a reason ignorance is bliss is a cliche. But again, you
Right.
can be stupid and depressed.
Right. But if you're a genius, then you can see it's like it might be hard to be satisfied, and that's why you have to seek all these incredible creative outlets
There
to.
is, like, statistically, poets have one of the highest suicide rates. So like the numbers are there for that one at least.
It's interesting. So the rest of the story is basically him. Calliope calls upon the Furies, and this is like kind of, I think, just like the fun part is Dream shows up and fucks up the guy, gives him endless, never-ending stream of ideas, which. Again, you got to hand it to Dream for coming up like with the eternal waking in the first volume and now never-ending ideas, like very creative punisher of people. And I like that whole sequence where the guy just can't stop coming up with ideas, and there's all these ridiculous ideas, and he just can't stop. And then
It's
also
a very
Dream,
poetic punishment.
very poetic, and also is Dream a little bit of a fuckboy, because this is like the second or third time that we've seen him have like an old flame in his life that like, you know what I mean? Like
I mean, how old is he though?
It's true. He is really old. And
He's
it's
had,
not like
3 relationships in the history of the universe, and you're like, I don't know, seems like a fuck boy. How many relationships have you had in 30 years?
But they don't always keep constantly coming up. Like every time we see him, it's another thing. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm over here talking to myself. They would if they were an eternal being that you know what I mean, like a king having flings with other like princesses or something like that. They would always come up like in these big political things. So he's talking about the fates or an African queen, you know what I mean? That he trapped away forever for rejecting him. But anyways, so yeah, maybe a little bit of a fuckboy, but
maybe.
Yeah, and I think he allows himself to have passion, but he has no like human obligation to commitment. He's like, let's do this. That's like, I'm an eternal. What? Like, what do you want me to do?
It's so human. It's so human that he was unable to empathize with Calliope until he experienced the same thing. Like, that's so us as humans that we like, it's like not real. Oh, it happened to me. Oh, maybe it is important, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. What do you think about the art?
He's a white lib. That's awesome. That's good.
Right. Yeah. What did you think about Kelly Jones and Malcolm Jones III's art in this volume? I thought it was pretty good.
Deeply unsettling.
Very unsettling. Yeah. I feel so bad for Calliope. That was such a sad existence for that character.
Like, you need to go back to her and just give me a mini of her, like, I don't know, helping someone write like a great YA series or something. Like, just give me
consensually
a happy story. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was one hit, and the person lets her
to
go.
help like write the next Aragon series. Like, I would love to see that.
That's right.
I would like to see kind of a nicer Calliope story in the future.
Right.
Well, it's funny because I think the way that I don't know how the actual myth goes, but the way Neil Gaiman wrote it is that Calliope and the other, muses, if there are other ones, kind of, they have this power, but they don't give it to people unless you capture them. They're like leprechauns, So the way their power works is you have to, you don't have to do all the other shit. I imagine it didn't seem like that had to happen, but
you have to harm them in some way.
You had to capture them. It has to be against their will, like a leprechaun.
That sounds like human propaganda if I've ever heard it.
Oh, what do you mean?
No. You have to capture them. Like, that's how it works.
Right.
Like,
I mean, what do you expect to do it for free?
If you could just buy them, like, a coffee and a biscotti.
That's
like,
right.
did we even try?
That's right. Yep.
It's the theme that we kind of saw yesterday when we were talking Valiant. This idea that bad things, we're always trying to find ways to justify doing a bad thing with some type of result that is worth it or worth
It's an
doing.
economic system that's kind of like that.
I don't know, but
Put my finger
okay,
on it.
settle down. All right. So yeah, I like that volume. But like G said, I definitely unsettling. Not a fun read, but an interesting read. If that makes any sense.
A
It feels very
powerful,
Neil
moving
Gaiman.
read.
Powerful and moving. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. So now that we've kind of depressed ourselves, let's talk about kittens dying.
Yeah,
For a
Jesus
second.
Christ, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
wait. Yeah. Here it is.
I won't spoil it because I know you're going to do the quick rundown, but I will say this much. Sometimes I wonder about myself as a human being because the next story, that is what fucked me up. I was like,
The Midsummer's Night
I
Dream.
really liked this
the cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is also illustrated by Kelly Jones and Malcolm Jones III. A kitten to see an older female cat, and this older female cat is speaking to an assortment of other cats. This is like Cat Jesus. So he listens to a Siamese cat. She tells her story. She once had kittens, and her human masters killed them. Which that sentence doesn't quite sum up how tragic Neil Gaiman made this part.
So fucking fucked, man.
It was
God
like,
damn.
man, it fucked me up when I was a kid reading this, and it fucked me up as a grown-up reading this. It was just sad. And the anthropomorphization, is that the right way to pronounce that? The anthropomorphization of this cat made it so much more like, it would be sad if it was a cat that didn't talk, but it being a cat that did talk was like, oh, you know,
cute. Like meat takes the little things, and this motherfucker with the goddamn. And then check this out. I felt them from afar in the dark as the cold water took them. Felt them thresh and crawl sightlessly. Felt them call me in their panic and in their fear.
Neil Gaiman is cruel. He's cruel. Like, he's great. And he's a good guy, but this is cruel. This is you weaponized writing right here. So this cat, this kitten is so burdened with why they would kill her babies that she has a dream. A raven, which we've met before, directs her to the Lord of Dreams, and she journeys into a cave to find Dream, and this time he's in the form of a huge black cat. So Dream, continuing with the theme of Dream taking on the appearance of whoever he's manifesting for, or really
they stick with this one.
Yeah, I like Cat Dream.
Totally.
So
I don't think it's a Galactus thing. I think he presents himself in the way so he can control them.
Okay, I mean, so it's a deliberate thing on his end. Okay,
I would, I don't know.
So you think that pale human dream is like his default, and then he just manifests in whatever that's not that, or
to
that
communicate who's coming to talk to them. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I
like the Galactus way too. That's cool too.
I see it as a Galactus way, but that's just an opinion.
No,
I don't think. So Dream shows her this reality where cats were these huge monstrosities, and humans were just their prey, and like basically their playthings. So it's a reversal, but worse, because cats are worse masters than humans. Let's just be honest here. Cats are supreme. And then he says that this reality, you see them, they're like eating people. They're like doing all this shit. That's cute, but they're like
they're doing people animal stuff.
They're doing people shit. Yeah. So then he says that this reality never came to pass because a human told everyone that dreams can shape the world. And then enough humans dreamed their reality into existence. So now the cat goes around urging other cats to dream of a world where they are supreme once more. So then the kitten returns home in dreams. And then the cutest part is that her owners are like looking at her like, she's hunting something in her dreams. Yeah, she's hunting you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You ever read a story and you're like, well, never going to look at that again the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it.
I sort of assumed certain cats were dreaming about like lording over everyone.
So I had some workers in my house this past weekend doing like ceiling fans and stuff, and apparently they were raised in a barn because they kept the front door open. And so what that does here in Savannah, Georgia, is I have like 6 houseflies, outside flies that are now houseflies, and my cat has been having the time of his life, like just like you see him crawling and doing all these things that I never really see him do, jumping in the air and hunting stuff. Like maybe flies should dream of a time where cats are not hunting them as playthings.
I think you clearly need to start keeping flies in your house.
Apparently.
There are two layers to this that kind of stood out to me. One is this newly introduced idea in this canon that reality is really the product of our dreams, and that there was actually another reality, and that when a dream changes reality, it not only changes what's happening, it retroactively changes the entire timeline. And I don't know if that was supposed to be kind of a metaphorical idea, or if that's really Neil Gaiman explaining how his world works. But it was interesting.
I think that's what happens when you're talking to like ideas. Because I don't know.
Well, think about it.
I don't know.
So was there a time like the Superman? Remember the time where he couldn't fly and he could only jump in Hulk style? Like, or does the dreams, the ideas of artists, especially in the comic world, say no, this is a change and this is the way it always was. I think this is a reference to art and writing itself. And hey, whatever world I write, that's, I don't know if he went this far, but it reminds me of like Donny Cates' tweets, where he gets kind of like irritated at the questions of who would do this and who would win that and what's canon and what's not canon. Neil Gaiman right here is like saying, whatever I write, that's fucking canon. Whatever I dream of tomorrow, that's the way it always was because I said so. I'm the dreamer,
See, I would go, there's a James Baldwin quote about, like writers have like such a responsibility because like if when you read, it shapes how you think, and if you can change the way someone thinks, you can change reality. So like I don't know.
Yeah, there's a saying in the military that most of us really fucking hate, but it's perception is reality, meaning like if you
it is though.
Yeah, well, I mean,
even
the way
like
the
Squirrel Girl was talking about like, hey, hate is just a memory. And if you forget to hate someone, then it's just gone. Like that's the great thing about hate is that it's not real. You can just.
I think there's some usefulness to hate, though. You know what I mean? Like not letting people read. Anyways, I don't know. You get existential, but
okay, Red Lantern.
Even though this came out like decades ago, even though this came out decades ago, I didn't really take it in a reference to like art, writing, and storytelling. And this is probably not how it was intended, but I really took it in the QAnon direction of like how people manufacture their own reality, and it actually has real world implications, even if it's not real, or however real or not real it is. If enough people,
when you put an idea out into the universe, like you can't predict the effect that's gonna have. Like I don't think that people who started like 8chan and shit knew what they were doing, and that like you literally like you could even say like you're partially responsible for hundreds of thousands of people dying from COVID.
Right.
You got this asshat elected. Like it's just you did this one tiny thing. I don't know.
It might not be real enough to change events, but it's real enough to change the world. It's definitely
right.
We start talking about what real really means, and if enough people believe something, then it is real to them, and they will behave as though it is real to them, which is a real thing in its own right.
Unfortunately,
Red Lantern hate, got it. Okay,
reminds me of Department of Truth.
I haven't read that yet.
So this is the premise of Department of Truth. In Department of Truth, if enough people believe the world is flat, the world actually starts to become flat because.
Really?
Yeah, the universe starts to adjust to something if enough people believe it, and there's an entire you got to start reading that. And then there's an entire agency devoted to trying to protect truth, like by stopping like people creating a bad reality through like beliefs and conspiracy theories. And I think I would not be surprised if James Tynion has. Like it was at least in some way inspired by this little vignette. But yeah, super interesting. The other layer to me was like, is a world where humans subjugate cats worse than a world where cats subjugate humans? And why is the like, why is the correction to subjugation just subjugation? You know, why? So it's like I'm here ready to root for the cats here. You know what I mean? I'm ready for them to dream of a world where they're not victimized. But Neil Gaiman threw in that little wrench of like their dream of not being victimized also involves them like casually eating humans. So I thought that was kind of an interesting touch. I don't know if I read too much into it or not, but I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like he didn't want to make them. He didn't want to make them full sympathetic. He wanted to make them sympathetic and then also not sympathetic and make their fantasies not sympathetic.
So what does that say about humans then, though?
As far
like
as
all they're doing is kind of doing what we do.
Right.
So,
it
like,
says that we're bad.
Does that also make humans unsympathetic? Are we?
It says that we're like humans are bad. I'm not defending humans, but I'm saying that. But I'm saying that. I'm saying that I can respect if the animal world was somehow more sentient than I think they are, and they wanted a world where we're the ones getting treated like rodents, like with rodent killer and all that shit, and they're the ones in charge. That's like yeah, we're bad, but fuck that. You know what I mean? Like it's like it doesn't seem like a just correction to just at the end someone's still getting victimized. You know what I mean?
It sort of reminds me of the first story because like it's that same like, well, you're being held and like your wants and needs are not considered and like, oh yeah, no, I get it. Like, well, if they were sentient, then I'd want them to have earth, but I just wouldn't want it to change that much.
Right.
Like, no, I get you don't want to be here, but like I just need you so I can write.
I think the mechanism matters too, though. You know what I mean? Like whereas when I look at the animal kingdom and I see like lions eating their male cubs because, there's no scar, there's no lion that's like, I want to maintain my power. I must eat my children. You know what I mean? No, it's just like this
instinctual
drive,
thing.
this instinctual thing. Whereas humans, because of the way our brains are built, can actually go forward maliciously. You know what I mean? Like those kittens literally didn't have worth. They couldn't sell them and would only eat. So he put them in a bag and sank them to the cats. Even in the montage where they were rulers, really only did what they do with mice now. It's a drive and they just live. And so I don't think the bad thing of humans is that humans kill, because life, death, the cycle, all that shit, it happens. If I go to the mountains, I will kill a deer and I will cook its meat because that's the circle of life. But I'm not gonna be like, look at that bitch ass deer. If too many of them rise up, they might take me over, so I'm gonna go kill them. You know what I mean? It's just like humans are fucked. Nature, anyways, probably.
Nature's good and humans are bad. Yeah.
No, nature's nothing. That's the point. Nature is nature. People are bad.
Humans are the only things. Morality is not real.
That's it.
Like nature doesn't do good and bad.
And we have good and bad, which allows us to do good, but it also makes most of what we do bad.
There's also, I think I was thinking about it actually the whole time we were talking about Valiant, that like I think so much of the stuff that we're like, this is something we can just say is an absolute truth, this is good and bad, is based on like that's only true if you accept that killing is bad objectively.
Right.
And like that's not a given.
That's right.
It's a cold dead universe. You know what I mean? There is literally no, those things are completely exist in the imagination of humans. Doesn't mean that they're not real. They're real to us and they should be real to us, but they're not real on a universal scale. They're just ideas,
By the way, there is a religion, and I think it's called Jainism, that is absolute and total pacifism, to where like even to protect your family, there is no killing or harm that you can do that would outweigh the karmic energy that comes from it. So you watch your kid die, you watch your family die because it's better than doing something.
Well, have fun with that, Janus. Yeah, I mean, interesting. So yeah, did you two like this story? I really, really liked it.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Short, sweet, entertaining, interesting.
I would love to see this as like an animated short.
Yeah,
hey, Michael, we're not giving anything away on this episode. I don't know
why you're here. Like,
what do you do? Danny, is that what a bag of cats expression means? I'm gonna tell you. I've heard of letting the cat out of the bag. I've never heard of a bag of cats.
No, it's like when you're mad at someone, you're like, go eat a bag of cats, you know?
Fucking
Yeah.
fucking. Whew.
This fucking guy, go eat a bag of
It's
cats.
hot as fuck out. It's hotter than a bag of cats outside. Like,
Yeah.
I've never heard of the expression.
No, it's like when you're frazzled in the morning, like, ugh, I feel like I'm a real bag of cats this morning. We're silly.
We love you, Michael.
So Midsummer's Night's Dream, I gotta just poison the well real quick and say that
back.
Oh, okay. Please. So this Midsummer's Night's Dream one, I will say that this is the most boring Sandman thing I've read up to this point during this read through. Illustrated by Charles. You didn't read it?
I didn't read it.
So I'm talking about it with myself now.
You're talking about it with our audience, and I will
Okay.
I will engage with you.
Okay. So this is a Midsummer's Night's Dream. It's illustrated by Charles Vess, and it's a short story that feels really long. So this is the story that Gaiman won the World Fantasy Award for Best Short Story. Go figure. It changed the rules. This is an interesting aside. It changed the rules of the award so that comics were no longer eligible to win this award.
Why?
I don't know. That's weird. I'll investigate that further. But so in the story, Shakespeare's company is performing A Midsummer's Night's Dream for the first time. Only the audience isn't human. Dream, who's friends with Shakespeare, we saw Dream meet Shakespeare in the last volume during
That's
that
right.
like one. So Dream, who's bros with Shakespeare, invited the fairy court to attend, including Oberon, Titania, and Robin Goodfellow, who's Puck. So this is the first of two plays that Morpheus commissioned. So throughout the performance, strange things occur. Puck eventually takes over the part of himself. Titania seems fascinated with Shakespeare's son. Hamnet possibly interested in stealing him away to Fairy. So Shakespeare's son Hamnet, who might have been the inspiration for the word for the title Hamlet. And then Puck escapes into the real world, refusing to go back to Fairy when his rulers depart. And then when the players wake up the next morning, they find themselves alone, and that the gold that Oberon paid for them to perform this story for the Fairy Court is also gone. And that's the whole story. So I was going to say, what did you think about it? But what did I think about it, I guess?
Wow.
So
based off your summary, sounds boring.
It was a little bit boring. I think a lot of it is just I respect Shakespeare, and I think Shakespeare, like, I understand that the value of Shakespeare, and there have been some Shakespeare plays that I enjoy after reading them like 3 times to understand the dynamic pentameter. Is that what it's called? Dynamic pentameter. Shakespeare talk.
I shit that out in 11th grade.
Iambic pentameter, that's what it's called. That's the Shakespeare talk, and no matter how many times I've seen it, it doesn't really like connect to my brain. So after reading the No Fear Shakespeare Cliff Notes, there's some Shakespeare stories I think are kind of cool, but didn't really draw me in from that angle. And then having all these weird kind of things, it was very much like a fever dream, like a trippy fever dream Gwynts. That's what the whole thing felt like. And I don't know. I don't really know what the point was here. I felt a little bit self-indulgent to me, and to be honest, I just didn't really love this story. I'm looking at what you got up on the screen right now. Like, I thought Charles Vess's art was pretty good.
Yeah. I had started it. I started this yesterday, and just spoiler alert, I haven't read the rest of the volume. But I wanted to come on and give you guys some pictures. It did start boring. It started like what is I just couldn't grab it, and then but the art is beautiful. I like it. And that one thing I had up earlier looked creepy as fuck.
Yeah, it's just kind of a thing that, like, I didn't really glean like a subtext. There's no subtext that jumped out at me. It doesn't mean it's not there, but it just didn't really jump out at me.
We'll see what you guys say.
Yeah, I'm curious for G's take on it. It just didn't really engage me that much. It's a bunch of weird fairy creatures watching a play and doing weird shit because they don't really know how to behave in the human world. So take what you will from that. I don't know. Did anyone in the chat read this and have any hot takes or anything to? Oh, boom, Danny with the save. So I think the story just rounds out how Dream wants to share in other experiences, like more of a character chapter, maybe. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. So it kind of, I would say, is kind of almost an extension of when he was having that bet with death over like whether this guy would want to die if he lived forever or not, and he ends up kind of befriending. Like he does have a curiosity in for the mortal world, and maybe this is like you ever go Robo, you ever like visit someone and they're like a big foodie and they take you to like some restaurants that you'd ordinarily would never go to, and like they just have like this curiosity of trying random shit. And that not only are they curious about other shit, but when they find shit that they like, they want to find other people and be like, hey, check out this thing. Like you might have never tried it before, but check this out.
Yeah, like CrossFit.
Yeah. Like I feel like Dream's kind of like that guy. Like Dream is like, wow, these mortals do this really cool thing where they do like a play with all these actors and performers, and it's really neat. Hey, buddy's over in Fairyland. Come check this shit out. It's kind of neat. It's like if I were to take you out to get like Ethiopian food, you know what I mean? You never tried it before, and I'm like, you got to try this shit, man. It's the bomb.
There's a dope ass Ethiopian restaurant in San Diego, by the way. But anyways,
man, I love that shit. I love it so much. And Sammy loves it too. We went and got it in DC. Never mind. I'll stop. But yeah, dude. So I think Danny hit the nail on the head. I think that's what it's about. And by the way, I got a perfect analogy. So. Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you.
Dunzo.
That's even that I value that even more than a like, but still.
Do you value it as much as when someone we're interviewing says, "Good question"?
I love that. Oh man, dude, my balls tingle when that happens.
Your face tingles.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good question. So, and then it
would. Yeah.
I think I maybe came back at the wrong time.
So, G, what did you think about A Midsummer Night's Dream?
My dad told me to never say this. I don't like Shakespeare.
It's okay.
It's not that I don't like Shakespeare's really good, obviously. Master of the language. But like I need to read with someone, and I need to read each sentence by itself. And then
Do you understand iambic pentameter?
I mean, yeah, I know what it is. I appreciate it. Like, it's nice when I'm hearing it. I don't read it that way because, like, I have to read it so fucking slowly because, like, every sentence I have to go through and be like, how would I say this now?
Right.
Yeah,
there are these books.
I've been taught Shakespeare, and it's the only way that works.
There are these books called
rewritings.
Yeah,
maybe you're about to.
Yeah. So there are these books called No Fear Shakespeare, and they are complete rewritings, like verbatim rewritings. Only it's in normal people talk. So like that's the only way I've ever really been able to enjoy Shakespeare. And I will say once I read those things, I do enjoy it. Like the stories are fascinating. You know what I mean? And it's are also a very fascinating little window into that time period with the way people like what their values were and how they relate to each other.
Yeah.
It was I think it's something that like it's nice to know someone who knows how to read Shakespeare. Because like it's almost like its own language. I was talking about this with like Old English. By the way, my biggest takeaway from reading this book after seeing Green Knight is I really need Neil Gaiman to write a Swamp Thing Green Knight story.
Yeah.
That would be
cool.
I would die. But yeah, like I think it's something you almost need a group to appreciate. Or just someone. My dad would read me Shakespeare, and I liked that because he understood that shit.
Did you know that Neil Gaiman won the World Fantasy Award for Best Short Story for this one?
Doesn't surprise me.
So he won it, but then it also changed the rules of the award so that comics would no longer be eligible for that award.
Way to Simone Biles that competition, Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, right. So crazy. And then two more questions because we kind of talked about it with Robo, but I just want to get your take before we moved on. Did you think this was self-indulgent at all? Like more self-indulgent than his other work? No.
It felt like kind of like a love letter to an inspiration. Like you could tell I 100% believe that Neil Gaiman grew up like friends with the Fae. I don't believe that they're not in this world anymore. I believe like that is why he is the way he is. Um, so this just kind of felt like him being
Canon.
like, I see you. Yeah. Especially because like I always see him as Dream. So yeah, this just seemed like kind of a nod.
The other thing that we kind of discussed while you were doing whatever it is you do was that
To go to the bathroom.
you're making a duty.
I took a fat shit.
So Danny made a really good point. This kind of highlights a character trait of Dreams, which is his curiosity, but not only curiosity, his desire to share the things he discovers with others.
I think it's the first time we actually see him treating other people like a peer that aren't the Endless.
Right. Yeah. Like he's got these buddy over in Fairy, and he's like, hey, you got to check out the mortal world. It's crazy. You got to see this play.
Right.
Come on. Yeah.
And it shows that like he really does have affection for the human world.
He thinks it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I liked that. That was my favorite takeaway from this story. And then the art by Charles Vess. Pretty good, I think.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Do either of you have anything else on this story, or do you want to talk about the big conclusion with masks?
Oh man,
this is a weird story. Are you guys ready for this one? You too? All right.
Are you ready for this?
You ready for this? So this one, this one is illustrated by one of the greatest artists of our time, and also one of my favorite people on social media and just comic book personalities, Colleen Duran.
Oh, yeah.
So illustrated by Colleen Duran and I guess Malcolm Jones III. I think he inked. It was a collaboration, but the pencils are hers. And she does a lot more stuff with Gaiman in the future, and they continue to do stuff together. But so the story here, Urania Blackwell is Rainey, also known as Element Girl, who was previously a DC hero in the Metamorpho titles. So this is a long forgotten, obscure DC superhero. But anyway, and I ended up going back and reading that Metamorpho title just for some context because I'm insane. But anyway, you don't have to. So she's a retired superhero and she's barely getting by. She's forced by the very nature of her powers to stay inside her apartment. Her only outlet is a phone call to a handler every week. So when she receives a call from Della, an old work colleague, Rainey decides to go to dinner with her. She creates this face mask out of silicate so that Della won't see her real face, but in the middle of dinner, it slips off. And she's horrified and embarrassed and ashamed. So she returns to her apartment. She's desperate to die, but she can't die because she can't kill herself because she's basically invulnerable. Death hears her crying. Death just happens to be in the neighborhood, like, taking someone else to the afterlife, hears her crying to check in on her, only to have Rainey assume that Death is there to grant her wish. However, Death is only in the neighborhood collecting someone else's soul. So Death tells Rainey she doesn't have the authority to release her from life. Rainey has to talk to the god that created her and tell him what she wants. So Rainey asks Ra, the sun god, for release. He grants her request and Rainey crumbles to ash.
Was it? I assumed it was salt. I don't know. I was
or salt. That. I don't know. Dust. Something.
Which is raw. I don't know why I would go biblical. A
particulate of some sort.
Right.
Yeah. This is all about. I'm getting out at risk of sounding.
Death knew what Ra was gonna do.
I don't know. I feel like this is all about how people should be allowed to die when they want to, which is kind of a dark take. I think maybe a controversial take. But
because just her face in that last panel seems kind of like, I don't know, bitchy.
I don't know. I don't think Death has a bitchy side in this universe. Death's nice. No, Death's nice. Death is saying, "I'm glad that she got what she wanted." So okay. You're gonna die eventually, and I'll see you.
I'm down with salt.
Yeah.
Salt works.
Yeah.
I feel like if they wanted it to be ash, like, from the sun, they would have made it black. This is like pure white. This is some Lot's wife shit right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This art is just off the chain. Colleen Love it. I love just what she does, and like the faces are so expressive and convey so much emotion. Can comic book illustrations be well acted? Because I just feel like the acting is really good in these drawings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are some facial expressions that I just don't see enough, and I think it's in the eyebrows, wrinkling of the forehead, the nose, and there like if somebody said draw a face right now, I could draw an okay face, right? But if somebody said draw a face, I mean I think I'm an okay drawer, a doodler, I would call myself. But if somebody said draw a face that is confused, that is expressing confusion, like do this face, what? And draw that. I think that's hard. That's
That's
Liefeld on feet hard.
I think
And
that's the next level of talent for an artist is doing that. That's the greatness bar, you know.
and that's what I've gotten out of like many of this artists in the Sandman, not just this one, but look at this lack of this is what I'm talking about. Look at this lack of detail, but still the expression, the looking down at you, the like there's just things in here that I don't know, like the art is really good, and when you can convey expression on these faces like they do, so good, so good.
It's good acting.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
acting. I'll take it.
Yeah, I love it. What do you think about the whole death thing? Like, are we? I feel like this is it's such a tricky subject because I don't want to sound like a suicide proponent, I guess, but like people should be allowed to die. Like,
Yeah,
people
right
should be.
to die.
You should have a right to die, and it's something that nobody really talks about because it's hard to talk about. But I feel like that's what this story was trying to address.
Well, we've talked. Well, what's your question? Do we want to? Are you asking our opinion on right to die? Or
Yeah. Well, what do you think? I'm missing the mark here. What do you think the story is about? Or
Okay, yeah, we'll stick to that. That's better. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what's happening here. I actually, so there's two, right? So we can get into like the depth of it and the subtext and what are we talking about. But I think if we could even surface a little bit, get closer to the surface there, and talk about kind of what we were talking about with Wolverine and Bloodshot and Eternal Warrior, like how fucking miserable. And I know this is Sandman. I know this is Neil Gaiman. So he's probably not just like, hey, I'm gonna write a story about it would suck to be immortal. Boom. No, there's probably a lot more artistic depth that's going on in this story for sure. But I think it also could just look at it and go, to be impervious, to be immortal, to ask, hey, what would your superpower be? I would want to be immortal. I would want to be a vampire. Like, no, that would fucking suck, you know. And Elemental Girl presented, yeah.
See, like, I get more like just a metaphor for like living with mental illness, because like she has no support. She has no one. No friends are really there for her. And like I wear a mask, but then like it dries up and it falls off of like that. Like, yeah, I can pretend to be normal and be happy, but like it wears off eventually. I can't maintain it.
Yeah,
right,
for sure. Well, I wasn't sure if we wanted to go into this or not, and we don't have to get like super into it, but I will say it's that level of mental illness where like how we get into like perceptions, reality, and stuff like that, to where I do think that regulatory powers do need to step in and really assess, right, what is going on before we do a right to die. Because if this is the case, if there's just living with mental illness, without getting into is morality real, is ethics a human construct, and all that stuff, without getting deep into philosophy, there is no such thing as evil, which is a great conversation. I would say someone who is suicidal should be getting help. So in this case, like I'm upset that Raw granted her what she wanted, right? The completion of that mental illness versus getting help, you know, that she needed, you know, getting that structure, getting that support.
It's it's a Gaimanism where death is just not scary or bad. It's just a part of life.
Force of nature. It's a hurricane. You're right.
It just is. And she does find help, but that help comes from death. Death is a friend to her. Death is like, oh my God, this is what you want? Well, I can't do it, but maybe talk to this person who can help you.
Check
you know?
this out. Oh, check this out. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna say something real quick. I don't like, in a subtextual kind of context, I don't like the ending. I don't like what he did here. So, if this is mental illness, if this is the mask that fell in her plate, death, like the natural force that comes when your time is supposed to come, right? We don't just mean natural causes, because the dude in the first volume got hit by a car. Death, when your time is up, your time is up. That's when you're supposed to go. Death could not help her. It had to come from Ra, the sun god, right? The like, you know what I'm saying? The provider of warmth, the provider of life, right? Because that's the sun god in Egyptian mythology is the god of life. You need suns, plants to grow and shit, right? And then that's who had to take it away. Death. So her death at the end, even though it seemed like, okay, I'm not suffering anymore, it wasn't supposed to happen that way, or else death would have took her. So I don't know. And what I mean, I don't like it. I still rather that she had gotten help.
So the reason death couldn't take her wasn't because it wasn't her time. It was because it was outside of death's authority, because her eternal life was granted by Ra.
That's on the panels of the page, right? I'm just saying, like, subtextually, like if it's your time, you're supposed to go. Yes, I get the comic book panels say, I don't have this power. You got to go to this superhero, this other mythology. But I mean, like, what is being said at that moment is that
I just don't
controls natural death.
I just don't know if that was. I don't know if Neil Gaiman would have included that if the intent was to say that it just still wasn't her time. It wasn't her time, and that whatever death she got from Ra was like unnatural or out of.
Yeah, I mean, this is all speculation, right? And we're just kind of like we're all.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Subtext. This dude. Death was there to take somebody away when they got hit by a car. You know what I mean? Like if there's other mythologies, death goes everywhere. I don't think it's so far off to say that if death can't take you, and thee is the embodiment of the concept of death, then whatever ending you have after that is not from the entity of death. It's something else. And yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the context versus the subtext. The overt text of it all is the authority and the jurisdiction and stuff like that. But I think that means something. I don't know. Maybe not.
No, it's I mean, definitely means something. I'm just not 100% sure what it is. What does Ra represent here?
Well, Ra is the one who gave her the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is Ra sort of like in the first chapter, the muse, right? So Ra gave her this unnatural ability to live forever, being the god of life, and all that. You know what I mean? So like, but what is the penalty of that? How that ties into mental illness, I don't know. I think I would need more time instead of just talking off my sleeve right now, since I read it right now. So that's why when you were talking about the last one, I'm like, all right. Let's go speed read. All right, scan. Okay, I think I got it. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how Ra would tie into the whole. Is this a mental illness? This is the mask we wear, right?
I think there's different. I don't think it's a singular analogy here. I think G is 100% right that this idea that she just can't maintain existing. Like happiness isn't in the cards for her. Even when she tries, even when she does what everybody says you're supposed to do, which is get out there, get out, just put yourself out there. She can't even maintain that. Like, it's just, she can't fake it. She could try and fail, and it's only worse for her. So like, I think that's definitely right on the money as far as like what Neil was going for. The part that kind of perplexes me is, two questions. Was it good for her to die? Was it right for her to die? And then what would be the metaphor for it not being death who can grant that, but Ra? And that's the part where it's kind of a chin scratcher for me. And the chat is welcome to kind of speak up as well if you have any ideas on that one. She is happy at the end.
Off the cuff.
That is a happy face. Yeah.
Better luck next time.
I don't know. Maybe we don't have all the answers here, but interesting volume. Interesting volume as a whole. How would you rank this against the other two volumes?
As far as impact volume. I don't know, G. What do you think?
I'd probably go maybe. I think I would rank them in reverse order.
Dream Country, and then Doll's House, and then Preludes and Nocturnes.
Yeah.
Which is the they all blend together. It's all one big book to me. Which is the one with the restaurant scene?
That is Doll's House.
Preludes? Okay, all right. So I think I would go Doll's House, Preludes, and this one. The reason why this one...
No, sorry. I made a mistake. Preludes is the one with Dr. D and the restaurant scene.
Okay, all right. So then, so for me, it'd be the opposite as G. It'd be in order. This one, I found the first two powerful. Right? They were like, wow, that's fucking deep shit. But I think, and I'm just being honest here, that made them a little bit less enjoyable to read. I'm okay with depth. I'm okay with making you think and making you feel things, make you feel feels. But going like two stories back to back that just made you feel like shit, and then a boring one. You know, I mean, the Shakespeare one was like. So this one was definitely my least favorite volume, but still no less genius. Okay,
nice. Yeah, definitely understandable. I love all of them, so it's like my least favorite is still a great comic book. I'd rank them. My favorite is The Doll's House. I just think that's like a brilliantly constructed story. This would be a second for me. And really, it's just the readability. It's like this was, you know, I kind of just, this book read me versus me reading the book.
Agreed.
And then Preludes. I think Preludes had more obstacles than these other two because it had to throw us into the cold swimming pool of this world and get used to it. So there was a lot more mental labor, I think, of just like digesting it.
I think so far I've enjoyed the parts best when Death is like a minor character in the story.
Sure.
Because like I enjoyed the beginning opening story in the second volume where he is just the spurned lover. And yeah, like I really enjoyed these where he's just in the background of all of them.
Dream you're talking about.
Dream.
Yeah, Dream.
Yeah, I like that too. Like and when the story's about the people and their encounters with Dream, not about Dream doing stuff. Although him going to hell was fucking cool. But yeah.
I'll tell you this much, Danny. On this, it's kind of like for me, it's like it's why I not just impatience, but it's why I like binge watching Netflix style. Here's the entire show, and it's because I don't like the feeling of watching a Game of Thrones episode and going, that was a lot of exposition, a lot of setup, a lot of explaining what's happened before, and then letting us know what's gonna happen in the future. I sat here for a fucking hour for the most boring fucking episode, and I don't get to see what's happening for a full week. So I think I would be frustrated if I was watching these as they came out, and the Shakespeare one that just came out was the one for the month. I was like, I have to wait a month for a good story? I wouldn't have loved it.
It's practical for me because of my mental limitations. Like, if I was reading this monthly, I would read this issue. And then I would read like 14 other comic book issues before the next month.
True. Yeah.
And then I'd read the next issue and I'd open it up. And on page 1, my first thought would be, where were we? What the fuck was happening here? You know, and being able to read it like a graphic novel or as a trade is like awesome because I feel like I'm fresh for the whole story. And by the last page, I'm still remembering the whole story that I just read and it impacts me a little bit better.
There are certain books that I buy the
That's a good
first
point right
two
there.
copies of and then stop because, like, nope, I need to read this in a trade because, like, I'm not going to be able to follow this month. Eternals was that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So check my local Goodwill, and you might be able to find 1 and 2 of a lot of series.
I have to read all of Saga again because it's gonna restart. One of these days, it's gonna restart, and I love Saga, but I've read so much shit since then, and it's been years. So, god damn it, Brian.
Yeah. I would like wait until you have like an infant and then reread that series.
Yeah.
Brian K. is releasing other shit though. Does anybody know what's going on?
Yeah, he's doing other shit. Nobody really knows. This is so off topic, but whatever. We're here.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows why Saga is on pause. It's been on pause for 2 years. It's one of the most successful creator-owned titles of all time. It's in the top 5 at least of just.
I think it's frankly just because they're trying to figure out what the story will be, like from start to finish. So it's not like one of those like, oh, we got to this point and now we don't know where we're going. Kind of like Walking Dead did that a couple times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So you
there's a lot out there already.
Yeah. The whole Walking Dead run is consistently good.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good that they're putting thought into it. Like him and Fiona aren't just putting something out because of the pressure. And if they're resisting pressure to give us a good product, then them.
I trust Brian K. He hasn't fucked me over yet.
True, he's one of the best.
I mean, he owes me $10, but as a writer, he hasn't fucked me over yet.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that about him.
Yeah,
do not lend him money.
He'll also he'll be like, "Oh no, I don't want pizza. You just order what you want," and then he always takes. But still,
he did that to me with appetizers. I'm good. Ate all cheese sticks. So it was like really irritating.
You can trust him with your life. You can trust him with your wallet, but you just can't let him around your wife. You know what I mean? Like,
whoa, Jesus. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is jumping.
That's like a real thing people say in the military, by the way. There are certain people where people are like, "Oh yeah, I would trust him with my life. I just wouldn't trust him around my wife." Like, well, then you should not trust him around anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny says they're working on it to avoid another big pause, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Fine. I still haven't decided if I'm going to read it monthly. I mean, I'm stoked for it, and I don't think I'll be able to resist the first issue. But I don't know if I'm going to read it monthly or if I'm going to wait for the volume. I'm going to have to read it monthly, but that sucks because I want to binge the whole thing. Fuck. God damn.
Just do both.
Yeah. Well, go to Not Comicsology, and then read them that way, and then make sure you buy the trades when they come out.
Well,
okay.
Have the floppies collected so your beneficiaries can sell them when you're dead, and then get the trades so you can get your partner to read them that way.
Oh, okay.
It's always good to use your partner as an excuse to buy more comics.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was Dream Country. Any save rounds or parting shots or reattacks from either of you two?
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback on what you said. Okay, yeah. And it's only those right there. Just there's these jokes that nobody got just now, just between me and these are famous military endings of briefings when everyone's ready to end. So we'd say, and then somebody else will stand up, usually like just below the ranking of the person who just got done. Yeah, I'd like to piggyback on somebody or have saved rounds.
It's for no other reason than they just want to make sure that their boss knows that they were actively involved in the conversation.
That's right. I'm sure it's a corporate thing too.
They'll go over my head either way.
Yeah, like why are
they get this blank stare?
They keep laughing when they say saved rounds. All right, was that it? Are we at the end?
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Are you gonna? So the next volume, let's just talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
And Robo, just start it now. Start it now.
Look, every day I'm gonna go. I can read it tomorrow.
Start it as soon as this ends. Just crack it open. But
if you just read a few minutes every day.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. So this is Season of Mists. This is Danny's favorite, apparently. It's got some sweet pages. Let's see who the creative team are here. Oh, this has Kelly Jones, Mike Dringenberg, Malcolm Jones, Matt Wagner, Dick Giordano, George Pratt, and Craig Russell. and we can really look forward to some exceptional lettering from Todd Klein as well.
Oh, did you want to look at these notes at the end? You said
this looks dope, doesn't it? Oh, the notes at the end. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, thank you for reminding us. So, we get treated to a script for the first volume. The part that's kind of interesting are these little handwritten stuffs.
Guy Lawley, MD, found me a photo of a trichobezoar.
The Bezoar, yeah.
Bezoar. Oh, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Trichobezoar.
I like the inclusion of these notes because for people like I remember when Noelle Stevens released their script for Save the Cat from She-Ra, and like it was super helpful to people who want to write screenplays.
Oh, nice.
To see like how a screenplay is written, and this is so cool for like if you wanted to write your own comic book. Hey, here's how Neil Gaiman writes his comic books.
Yeah, it's actually really, really good shit. And like the way he sets just looking at the first page, the way he kind of sets the scene is like, pull back. We can see close to us the doctor leaning down or crouching, getting a book out of his large black doctor's bag. He's left the thing on the table, and Rick is staring at it in disgust, possibly poking at it with a finger. So it's like loose enough for the artist to interpret it. And this is what he came up with. Like, this is what it ends up looking like, like that's the look of disgust. He read those notes and he was like, look of disgust. And it's like, there it is, And you can see some areas where he sort of departs, like even on the first page, there's some departures. But it's just kind of interesting how he can say exactly what he wants while also not dictating and I want his face turned at a 30-degree angle with, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
he's like asking for effects, not necessarily exact pencil work. Rose making a face. He knows what I did.
That's just his face.
Yeah. But yeah, it is pretty cool.
Pure Bride of Frankenstein. I like that.
Page so what? So he has one page 9 panel 4 where he's like, old woman will be my neighbor.
So they're talking about references. That's dope. And I wonder if the neighbor knew.
Hopefully.
Imagine being a reference in a comic book and one day you just read it and you go, what? That looks like me. That's weird.
Still, every little bit helps, as the old woman said when she pissed in the sea. And then in handwriting, he's like, a genuine old English proverb, strangely enough. I want to incorporate that into my lexicon. Every little bit helps, as the old woman said when she pissed in the sea.
Kelly Calliope is really, really skinny with horribly protruding ribs. Karen felt that was too extreme, and when Malcolm inked it, he made her a little less skinny.
She's still pretty skinny.
I was gonna say, wait, she was more skinny?
More skinny, horribly protruding ribs. Probably zombie kind of,
Yeah.
Well.
So this is just a kind of embarrassing thing, but I hadn't read this in a long time, so I didn't really remember what it was about. I didn't remember anything about it, at all, really, except maybe the cat part. So when we got this, and I was talking to Rob, I think we were on this stream, we were talking about it, and I flipped through it. I was like, I saw the naked Calliope without knowing any of the context, and I was like, ooh, there's this is a sexy one.
A naked lady. And
But
then you read it, and
I'm
you're
gonna like this one.
Not a sexy one. 100% not a sexy one, but yeah, so I don't know.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
Judah actually, and I'll quote, say, "Daddy likey" is what he
Daddy
said.
likey.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
What? Oh yeah, hooah! Turned into
I
Al
like
Pacino
these
for a
notes.
second.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I sent Kelly some photos I took of my workspace to give him an idea. Yeah,
He's a hardworking comic book writer. This is not half-ass shit,
Yeah.
He cares about the details that we'll never even notice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There are details in this script, handwritten and typed, that are wouldn't affect the story for us, wouldn't affect even the feel for us, but it's important to him that the shit's right. And
Oh.
just knowing that he has that level of concern with it makes me like the story more, just because like now I just have this trust that everything I see is like super deliberate, you know?
Check this out. Like panel 1, just Maddox's face looking straight at us. No panel border. If you just did the left side of Calliope's face at the top, then just do the right side of Maddox's face here. His face set and hard. If he's smiling cruelly. If she's looking off to the right in the first panel, then here he's looking slightly off to the left.
What page is that?
This is page 19. Maddox, listen. You're my possession. Until I tell you that you're free, don't forget it. You're my personal muse, sweetheart. Now, let's party. And then he writes in a note, shocking, not sexual. That's like oof.
Yeah, super oof.
I feel like even as an artist, like there's some things you got to write to where you're like, I need to take a break. I need to go and meditate or something.
This Monsters book by Barry Windsor Smith that I was raving about like 2 months ago, it's one of the, I would say, just like from like a technical standpoint and from like an emotional resonance standpoint, one of the most powerful comics I've read. And I was not bored, but I had to force to put it down just because of the heaviness and like pain of the story. Like shit's real. Not everything that's good for you tastes good, you know? But yeah, pretty crazy. I like
I've never heard it in that direction. Yeah, that's good. Makes sense. Usually I hear it is not everything that tastes good is good for you. But maybe because that's why I'm fat. She's like, both. Stop it. No. Out of fence, not prick. Okay. Anyways, I don't know if you guys want to see any more of these notes or if you want to close this up.
If you want to see more of them, buy the book.
Buy the book and get your hands on a library copy or some copy of Season of Mists, because we're going to be talking about it next week, and it's a long one, Robo. It's a long one, so you got to start it soon, or you're just not going to do it.
But I have other book and video games. How do I get my video games? No, just kidding. I'll have it done. All right.
And this one,
you can't watch any more of The Office until you read the next one.
Between Dead by Daylight and The Office, I'm surrounded by
fully booked.
I already read and annotated Bloodshot Volume 2. It's on the share, so now I can chill on that.
Yeah, I'll just read that. Yeah. It's like that's my Cliff Notes. No.
Do you do that? Do you ever do that?
No.
Okay.
I should though. I should. That's smart. I'm
gonna start putting wrong things in there just to make it funny.
And on this one, Bloodshot falls in love. I'm like,
no.
Well, my favorite part was like they actually humanized Bloodshot by making him fall in love, and you're like, you motherfucker.
I would be like, oh wow. I love that part. You mind bringing it up on the screen?
Ladies, gentlemen, and MVs, that's the end of our show. Don't forget to check us out. We do this show. We do another show we were just talking about Valiant Club, where we talk about, or Club Valiant, where we talk about stuff. Every Wednesday, we have a live show. And of course, we have a playlist of a bunch of professional creators like Kevin Eastman and Diddy and just people you'd be like, how does this channel get this? What? Because they're fucking superstars and we talk to them. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the stuff. Go get vaccinated. Go get fucking vaccinated. Or the shit. Actually, you know what? Don't. I want another lockdown. Don't get vaccinated. And then you just die off later. Bye. I love you. Believe it or not.